We are back and we're with our good friend Jonathan Olivo. How are you, man?
I'm doing very good, Sir Rob. Thank you for having me here, dude.
By the way, listener, this is a spoiler episode because this movie has been out for a while, and I do hope that if you have not seen it, that you will go to the theater and see it. Maybe pause this episode. We don't want to ruin anything for you, but we are going to get into stuff in this episode for sure. Jonathan, how did you, first of all, see this movie? Did you go IMAX? What was your...
I went with one of my best friends, and we thought we signed up for IMAX at a Regal theater, but it was an old Regal theater. We both hadn't gone there before. So the screen quality was great, like perfect, but it was like a very small IMAX. It was almost like they just gave the label to just a random screen.
They do that now, right? Like, it's a licensing thing, just okay. I think in the Bay Area it's like the Metreon, and then you have to go to the one in Dublin. Those are the only two that are close to the real size IMAX. Here, I went to one that was, again, called IMAX, but I'm like, yeah, this was a licensing thing for sure. But yeah, this movie, just like the last one, so Avatar, Fire and Ash, over 3 hours. And it's one of those movies, man, where, like Oppenheimer, I didn't care that it was 3 hours.
No, because I feel like we're at this point in the Avatar saga where there's no more catching you up with people. It's kind of with characters. We're here now. Like, you're either with us or you're not. He has a built-in audience that's going to come. And to be honest, the second one, it's not my favorite one. I think the second one might be my least favorite one.
Interesting. Okay.
This one is now my favorite one.
But what about between the first and second, if it was just those two?
When I saw it last year, the second one, or 2 years ago, I was like, there's a mile-wide difference between the two. Technology-wise, and I felt like the story was much more interesting in the second one. But I put on the second one recently to just have it on as background, and I just wasn't as engaged as I was with the first one. And I think what I love about the first one so much, and I don't even love that movie. I can't even truthfully tell you, Sir Rob, I love Avatar 1. I love Avatar 2. But I do enjoy Avatar 1 more than the second one. And this third one, we're going to get into it, but I go with my friend every year, my friend Matt. We went to see the second one and we went to go see the third one. And we go as kind of a joke. We go as, okay, we both are going to just really enjoy hanging out with each other, but this movie means nothing. I was locked in.
Yeah.
Were you also locked in?
Yeah, I was locked in. And an unusual thing this time, I went with family, and I went with family that I did not think this would be their cup of tea at all. But they were like, oh, let's give it a try. And then they were locked in. And then afterwards, we were all like, did you like it? Did you hate it? Were you sleeping? They're like, it was amazing. They just went off on it for a while. And I'm like, James Cameron, man, that guy and his whole team, really, it's not just him. He'll say it takes a village. Just wow. He doesn't do sequels. He does events, man. That's what this thing feels like. It just feels like each one just feels like an event. This is such a weird thing for me because the first one, I was not that crazy about, but something clicked for me starting with the second one and has carried on into the third, where I'm a full-on fan now. I'm like, take me wherever you want to go in this Pandora world, and I'm on board for it.
For me, I'm a big fan now, and I think the reason why that changed in the second one, even though I don't love the second one, is I think giving the villains their own avatar bodies. That was a good idea. I was like, oh, okay, you're going to have the same bad guy, the same villain for all three movies, maybe even past that. And in this one, he really changes. I really expected him to be one-dimensional, and I know he had a connection to his son in the one before this, but they really grew upon that. They really having him now become more into Na'vi culture was something I didn't see coming. I saw the thumbnail beforehand of him with I forget her name, the other villain, when he has the flamethrower behind her. I've seen that picture. I saw that picture before going to see this, so I assumed, okay, maybe they become friends. But them falling toxically in love and like being then him going to his sergeant and her not approving, it's all very interesting. That for me is what made this better. What about you?
Cameron is not just talk. Like recently, he's been saying, "Look, of course, you know that I'm a big believer in tech, and I've helped develop tech. But when it comes to things like AI, for example, I don't worry about it ever replacing actors because this series in particular, Avatar, it's not possible without my cast. And this movie, oh my god, like Stephen Lang." As Quaritch, and then who plays Varang? It's Oona Chaplin. She was in
Yeah.
Game of Thrones.
Mhm.
Zoe Saldana, and then Sam Worthington. Sigourney Weaver is just always incredible. And then Giovanni Ribisi is probably one of my favorite people working in Hollywood right now on so many fronts, whether it's as an actor or developing cameras for, what was it, One Battle After Another, and being a cinematographer on Strange Darling. But yeah, man, these actors.
Yeah, no, I love Giovanni Ribisi, and I did not know that he did all of that. I did not know he was a cinematographer at all.
One movie, Strange Darling, and it's one of my favorite, most random indie horror thriller movies that it also came out in 2023 or 2024. But yeah, he was cinematographer on that. He also restored those VistaVision cameras that were used by Paul Thomas Anderson for One Battle After Another.
Yeah, I had no idea.
But there was a funny note also from James Cameron saying, like, I sometimes struggle with dialogue with my characters, but the one that was the easiest, and I forget what the name of the character was, but the one that Giovanni Ribisi plays in
Yeah.
this Avatar series, he's like, that guy was a total douchebag. He's basically a combination of every Hollywood executive I've ever met. I'm just like, that is chef's kiss. That's brilliant. So Kate Winslet coming back to work with Cameron again. Now this is the second movie of the Avatar franchise, and then also third after Titanic. Cliff Curtis.
Yeah.
So many just great actors in this movie. But when we started with this, you were talking about Quaritch and Stephen Lang. That guy's incredible.
He really is. I forget that because in the film he's playing, I guess his avatar body is supposed to be like what, like 40 at the oldest, maybe 30,
Right.
40. And in real life, I think he's probably in his 70s. The technology and the motion capture of having his performance come through that body is so well done and it elevates the movie. I always say this every time I go see one of these movies now, I would love to get like an action figure of him. If there was like a Hot Toys of his character, I would totally invest in that. This movie, I think, really made me, like you said before, a fan of the world of Pandora because to be honest, I was not beforehand. I would go see these movies and I don't know. Okay, have you ever seen How To with John Wilson?
I've heard of it. I haven't seen it.
I highly recommend to those who are listening and you, Sarab, to go watch an episode. Let me see exactly what it's called.
I think it's on like HBO, right? It sounds familiar.
Yes, it's on HBO and it's specifically How to Remember Your Dreams. That's what it's called.
Okay.
And that's the episode name, How To with John Wilson and How to Remember Your Dreams. And it's a documentary series, and he goes to a group of people who have fallen in love with Avatar 1.
Okay.
And
Okay.
they are experiencing now, they're all real people. They are experiencing now, this was filmed before the first and second one, right before COVID, depression, because they're all friends and they all know the Na'vi language and culture and they've incorporated it into their lives. And it's like cringy humor, but it's also really beautiful kind of because you see how close they are and they're all sharing why they're also depressed. They share tragic things that have happened in their lives. And then they're like, well, I went to go see Avatar and that really made me so happy, but it was leaving that experience that made me so depressed that the world wasn't like that. I wasn't a fan of the planet. This time, I loved everything about the planet. I don't know what those creatures are called, but the first 20 minutes, those squids that are in the sky, so cool.
The visuals expand, I feel like, with each movie. I mean, from the ocean with the second movie to the scenes where Jake has to break out towards the end of the movie. So like we're no longer in the Na'vi world, but where the humans are and the press and the factory setting and all of that was just absolutely mind-blowing with the visual effects. The world building, superb. So we know the title is Avatar Fire and Ash. Came out December 19th of 2025. It's 3 hours and 15 minutes long, but you don't feel it. And the part that I still wrap my head around is $400 million budget, if we trust this number, and $1.4 billion box office. Now, Jonathan, a thing I find funny with the entertainment press, they're all like, Avatar 1 made 2.9 billion, and Way of Water made 2.3 billion. 1.4 billion, that's a failure. I'm like, okay, you know what? If you believe that, I need to introduce you to Tom Cruise, because he's going to be pretty pissed off that you think that after his $400 million Final Reckoning movie made barely 500, 600 million, which again, not nothing, but like 1.4 billion gets you into profitable territory.
Absolutely. And you're talking to someone who does not look at any of the box office numbers. But I do find it fascinating. That's how they're spinning it. James Cameron openly said recently, he was like, look, if I'm not able to make 4 and 5, I'm just going to hold a press conference and just tell you the plot points, which we all know he's going to get to be able to make 4 and 5. I think he's just saying that just to bluff. So I hope at least 4 and 5 are made. And I know that James Wan said that he wants to direct an Avatar movie.
I remember reading that, and I think it makes sense, right? The guy has done a lot of visual effect works. Aquaman went into $1 billion. He also did the absolute impossible with making a still monster smash hit out of the Fast and Furious 7 movie after Paul Walker died, and managed to salvage that with CGI and using his brothers as stand-ins and just somehow making that still work. I think that was $1 billion movie too. Now, I know you were just saying, it's the box office. As far as the art's concerned, that shouldn't be a consideration. But any studio you take this to, if you're going to work on a budget of that scale, yeah, I appreciate that Cameron himself has talked about it, saying, I understand Disney's position. I need to make this in a way that makes sense by the numbers. And he even said, I was very surprised. You never hear big directors say stuff like this. We need to find ways to make the next ones in less expensive ways. That shocked me, man. I'm like, I never would have thought a director like Cameron would say that.
I'm curious, like, I feel maybe I heard it from him or it was just somebody talking on a Reddit thread, but someone was saying that it is possible to make these cheaper simply because he has rendered everything already and he's not creating anything from scratch. Like he has, his team have all of the models already created. So maybe now he can make a 4 or 5 a little bit cheaper. Yeah, I mean, I hope they're made at some point, especially because when I hear about the plot points of part 4 or part 5, I think it's part 5, he has said that he's most likely taking it to Earth.
That'll be amazing.
That'll be awesome.
And he would be the one, him and his team, to invent the tech if they haven't already. By the way, coming back to that thing of where the $1.4 billion box office and people were let down by that, there's a couple of things I wonder if it played a role in that lower, I'm going to use an air brackets, number compared to the last 2 movies. One is that there was maybe more hype with the second one after the first one because there was a 12 or 13 year gap in between, whereas this had 2 years, right? But also from when Way of Water came out to when Fire and Ash came out, you had events that seriously devastated the film industry. Fire and Ash was already emerging from the wake of COVID. But then also the industry has become depressed after dealing with 2 Hollywood strikes, dealing with AI and inflation. Just people got used to not going to the theaters as much.
Dude, on top of that, when I saw this with my friend, we both looked at the price of our ticket and we were like, why was this ticket $35? And it's because it was IMAX 3D on a Friday at 9 p.m. So $35 for a movie ticket, that's what's expected nowadays. Whether you're going to like Alamo Drafthouse, AMC, I find myself paying that much per ticket. So that, yeah, absolutely. Ticket prices are going up. Unfortunately, I guess people aren't going to the movies. I will still find a way to go to the movies because that's just, I'm sure you as well. You will always do that.
Definitely.
But I really hope that there is a continuation of this universe in one way or another, because this is kind of left on somewhat of a cliffhanger.
Yeah, just again, I hope that this franchise does continue. This is by far the most impressive from a story point of view, visual effects point of view, and I will include the numbers and business point of view as well, because I cannot think of any trilogy, Jonathan, to date, if we're just counting 3 movies together, that have ever been this successful, because it outdoes Star Wars. It outdoes the MCU. If you're looking at just 3 films, if you're looking at the totality, of course, then that's a whole different ballgame. But this is absolutely insane because all 3 movies together have grossed about $6.6 billion. And I know I've been circling the dollars and cents of it a lot, but this movie is so much more than that. I love how now, as far as the story and world, Pandora that we've seen so far is
Mhm.
beautiful and peaceful. That's not the case anymore. Even the Na'vi are no longer united. There's like factions within the Na'vi. It's something.
Watching the first Avatar, I didn't watching it back then, I didn't ever think that there were other, like, species of Avatar.
Hmm.
I don't know, of Na'vi. I knew there were different clans because I think he goes to visit a second clan in the first movie, I forget. But my vocabulary for this movie is gonna be so funny, so you're gonna have to stick with me here. When he visits the water people in the
Hmm.
second one, what do you call them? So what tribe is that? Do you know off
Oh
the top of your
shoot, I
head?
don't remember. If I'm being honest.
Everybody knows what I'm talking about, but when he visits the water people, Kate
Yeah,
Winslet
and Cliff Curtis.
from Training Day is a water man, and they have water kids. I was like, "Okay, this is cool. There's different Na'vi that live here." Now coming to this one, you have these Na'vi that don't worship, right?
Yeah.
Because to them, they're like, "Our whole group of people got wiped out by natural disasters. We clearly a god does not exist here." I love that so much, and I also love how she abuses her capability of using her hair.
Oh yeah, the
Yeah.
connection.
In the other 2 movies, it's a way of connecting with nature or, like, other creatures. Here, she'll use it to hijack you or
Right.
she'll take yours off. I was like, "Oh, we now have these rules that James Cameron's made for 2 movies, and now here's one that doesn't play by those rules."
So we've known the Spike character, who plays a much bigger role in this movie,
The spider?
that Spider, yeah, Spider, he has to keep wearing the oxygen tank, right? Like he and mask because he can't breathe. But when they break that rule of, okay, Kiri helps him, there's an organism that she puts that connects with his body
Mhm.
that enables him to now breathe. And later the Ribisi character and the other humans are like, oh, this is possible. We can reverse engineer this.
Yes.
So I love that. Oh, okay, we're going to flip this whole world on this whole story on its head, and now who knows where it goes? I love that.
I also wanna give a shout out to Eddie Falco, who
Mm.
I
Oh
feel
yeah.
like her taking over, like, the military side of these movies and being the leader on that end is
Mm.
she does such a great job, and you hate her, and I hope that she continues in the 4th and 5th movies. I have never seen The Sopranos. I've seen her in other independent films. I've seen her in
Yes.
a lot of other things other than The Sopranos, so it's always nice to see her pop up. But yes, she her doing that, and I love, like, her mech suit that she's always wearing
Oh
to
yeah.
just be as tall as everybody. It's I don't know, it's cool, dude. I love the 3rd one. I would watch it again.
But Jonathan, I have a question for you.
Yes.
There's for sure more about the story of specifically Avatar 3. Okay. This movie, leading up to it, it made me realize I strongly believe this, and I will fight on this hill. I will die on this hill. That Zoe Saldana is the biggest movie star, most successful movie star we will ever see in our lifetime. And I
Financially?
financially, career-wise, longevity, diversity of it. I know like people might think as far as let's say commercial-wise, it could be The Rock, Tom Cruise, or maybe from awards and all that, they'd be like Meryl Streep or no. It is Zoe Saldana. And there's definitely several different ways I can approach this. First of all, just hearing that, how do you feel about that?
I would say that it's weird because I think I have a bias where I'm like, I enjoy her in these movies. I enjoy her in Star Trek. She's not my favorite actress,
Hmm.
but she has been in some incredibly popular, like literally the biggest movies ever made. You can't deny that. Like she is literally in the biggest movies ever made. Even going back all the way, if you remember, like to 2006, she's in the Pirates of the Caribbean movies.
Here's how I like, and it blows my mind. All right. Looking at, I actually want to go from the beginning to now where it's just all the crazy, huge stuff that she works on. I became familiar with her going all the way back to the movie that she was in with Britney Spears called Crossroads. This was like 2002, maybe 2003. So
I
she
know
was in
exactly what movie
that.
you're talking about.
She was in that. She also, like a lot of actors, had an episode on SVU, Law and Order. Then started some of the franchise stuff, right?
I'm looking at her IMDb and I totally forgot. It's so funny that she's a huge character in the MCU.
I mean, so Okay, 2004, right? I think is The Terminal with Steven Spielberg, right? 2006 is Pirates of the Caribbean that you said.
Oh.
And then 2009 is the beginning of Star Trek. And then the second Star Trek with J.J. Abrams. And then the third one that had, who's that guy? Justin Lin directed that one. Then in between that, she gets integrated into the MCU from the Guardians trilogy. And then also the, what do you call it? Avengers movies. And then, oh, by the way, did I skip in the middle of all of that? Avatar, the biggest franchise of all time. But from the financial point of view, if we're just looking at the financial point of view, yes, biggest, most successful star ever. Because, Jonathan, I cannot think of another actor that has been either a leading role or supporting role where in that movie, where that movie itself, those four movies, each grossed over $2 billion. And to track those, we're talking about Avatar 1, Avatar Way of Water, Avengers Infinity Wars, Avengers Endgame. Yeah. And to those who want to be a smartass, okay, Fire and Ash didn't make $2 billion. Really? Come on. It's a huge success story. Then forget about the $2 billion, like all the box office stuff, the diversity of work. So she continues to do a lot of indie dramas as well, to the point where she had developed and co-starred in Amelia Perez. I never saw it. I know there was controversies, and I heard maybe it wasn't even that good. But whatever it was, Oscar. And then television, episodic content where not just starring in it, but producing it. Very successful producer. There's two shows I can think of where she's had massive success. There was a Netflix series called From Scratch, multi-episode series that did really well, was very well reviewed, and she was in it. I enjoyed it. It's called Lioness, the one that Taylor Sheridan developed, from Yellowstone.
I've heard that show for a while. Let me look at it. This looks like almost a fake show.
Because the poster has like her and Nicole Kidman and Morgan Freeman, and it's very like government and conspiracy and shadows and special forces, and but I watched it and I'm like, all right, this is ridiculous, but it's entertaining. I know none of this is realistic, but Sheridan has that talent. I don't love all his shows. I'm actually, sorry listener, I'm not a Yellowstone fan, but some of his shows can hook you in. I love Landman. Again, another show that's ridiculous and not realistic at all, but super entertaining.
Well, who is this person you're saying? Not Ty.
The maker is Taylor Sheridan.
Taylor Sheridan. I thought you said Ty Sheridan. I was like, whoa, young man making all of this.
No. Taylor Sheridan. He started as a actor on Sons of Anarchy, and then just became full-blown writer, producer, and is one of the few reasons why Paramount is still around, because he's just single-handedly creating these massive rating shows for that company.
To go to your point of Zoe Saldana, yeah, she's been in a ton, literally all of the 2000s.
I think that her career going forward still has longevity too, because as far as for the franchises, it sounds like they're still gonna make Star Trek movies. I think Guardians is still gonna be in play. She has a rock solid relationship with Disney. All these franchises that are through Disney, they love her. And so that's cool. I just think right now, if you're an actor and you're like, man, this is just my opinion, whose career do you want to look up to? I look at her because it's not just for the, working in big Hollywood stuff, although that is attractive too, for sure. Uh-huh. It's just that she has diversity of the type of work that she's working on. She has many films still in the pipeline, and she's producing and developing stuff. So I'm just like, yes, that is the superstar. That's the rock star that I want to be like. Yeah.
I've loved her in Star Trek. That's probably my favorite. It's weird because she's in the MCU, she's in Avatar, and she's in Star Trek. Those are the three big ones that she's been in the last 15 years. Favorite is Star Trek, and I feel like that's the least popular character out of all of those three.
I got so frustrated that the Star Trek movies directed by Abrams, the first two, that they weren't commercially successful films, because I loved, just like you said, from the just creativity and everything. I have probably watched the second one, Into Darkness, so many times.
Really? Okay.
I know people love the first one especially, and I get that, but a point that I circle back to on this podcast a lot is your story is only as good as your villain. I really think the villain's more important than even the hero. And Benedict Cumberbatch versus Eric Bana, I think Cumberbatch was a more interesting villain.
Crazy you said Eric Bana. Totally forgot he was in the first one. But yes, he's Nero.
Yeah.
I remember really liking the first one, enjoying the second one, and really loving the third one, even though I've only seen that third one like once.
Coming back to Avatar Fire and Ash, what I thought was a very awesome, powerful moment. I'm curious to get your take. The moment where they escape and Jake is with Spider and Neytiri and they're seriously debating, do we kill him?
I laugh because I appreciate that so much in this movie because I feel like it's a very realistic. I mean, in
Yeah,
that world that he's built, it's
totally.
those are the options, right? It's like
Yeah.
we literally just escaped. We're gonna have to figure this out. But I think that they did the best they could. At the same time, it almost feels. And I want to know how you feel. Sometimes it feels like Spider's dialogue or the way that actor is directed, not based off that
Hmm.
actor, because I feel like I've seen that actor do other things in other projects. But the way that he's written and directed, I should say that character, it takes away from certain moments, especially that moment where he's about to be sacrificed. It almost feels like the dialogue that they give to him is very like one draft, it feels. It's very everything that happens when Jake Sully has the knife to his throat and he's saying, "Okay, I accept it. Do you still love me?" Like it's powerful, but I just feel like it's so that was written almost like
Hmm.
if I were to write it,
You,
was not a compliment to me.
hey, come on. But you know what the thing is? I feel like, remember earlier I was saying that I appreciate where Cameron will say that he values his actors rather than use AI. Maybe here's an example of where you can actually box yourself into a corner, especially with the Spider character. So he's played by actor Jack Champion. They filmed everything in case they make 4 and 5. His scenes have already been filmed. And they were saying in these behind the scenes videos and documentaries and all that, these are like stuff on YouTube, that we are concerned about him aging out. And we need the consistency of that character for that role and for the look and everything. That makes me think, okay, you then only have maybe 1 or 2 opportunities to get this right. And then that performance is locked in and you have to build around it. There's like,
Very interesting. I
right?
didn't think that, yeah.
There's something about that actually that makes me happy because it shows that even a guy as successful, wealthy, and all that and resourceful as James Cameron still can get boxed in himself. And like any filmmaker, has to make tough, creative choices.
You know, what's interesting about these creative choices on the opposite end I want to talk about is I saw it twice. Did you see it
Mhm.
twice?
I saw it once.
Okay.
I want to see it again, though.
The second time I was watching it, I wasn't paying attention to the story anymore. I was looking at just because what I was interested in was saying, okay, I want to see how he makes certain environments look so real because they do look slightly more realistic than the first movie. Specifically, there's scenes where he shows close-ups of a field or a grass and the Na'vi interact with it. Like maybe they come out of there's a scene where all of them get thrown down the river, the family,
Mhm.
and they come
Okay.
out of the river and they lay on the grass for a moment. I was looking at that grass and I was saying, that's real grass. That's real. So what's happening now? And a lot of this world little things like, oh, that the grass looks real and the tree looks really real. Like it's real and then everything else could be green screen. And what I think he's doing now is I think he is actually incorporating real physical elements into this movie and
Mhm.
imposing his motion capture on top of it. Did you feel
Nice.
like that's what's happening?
I definitely felt so, but it really is crazy because not only is there no way really to tell, like I feel like the effects
Mhm.
are that good, but I remember in both Way of Water and in this movie, if you're looking at the battle scenes or stuff like on the water as things are in the distance,
Yeah.
you could see crazy things of detail in the distance. The level of special effects are otherworldly. It's really something. And now that's why I really want to see these movies and why I can forgive a lot of stuff that before I used to think is like cheesy, eye rolling, maybe the spider scene we were just talking about, the dialogue, in the first one, the first Avatar movie, I rolled my eyes like crazy when the material that they
Yeah.
were hunting. What's the name of that material, Jonathan? Do you remember?
I don't remember unobtainium.
Unobtainium.
There. It's weird how this one I did forgive anything that I might have thought was cringy. I've
Mm.
forgiven it a lot in this one. And I think that's probably because I'm now very much invested and I knew what to expect. The gap between the first and second one was so large, almost like more than 10 years, definitely
13 years.
13 years, that I now know, okay, there's this character named Spider. He's going to be goofy. There's going to be these themes coming up. Now that I know what to expect, I'm all in. And I wasn't really cringing at anything other than
Mm.
just some of the writing that was on the nose.
One thing I kept hearing a lot, and I kind of agreed with, was people were saying the structure or the beats of Fire and Ash, it's almost like someone did a copy and paste of Way of Water, and it was almost the same movie again. I felt that, and yet I was so entertained I didn't care.
Yeah, can see that, definitely. Especially bringing back that one army guy that is such an asshole to the whales that gets his arm ripped off,
Mm.
and then he gets finally
Right.
killed in this one. And the fact that it just takes place on that same beach again with the same villain hunting him down. But that villain's motives changed. He doesn't look the same. He's finally contemplating things. I don't feel like it's a retread of the third one. And I think you do need the second one to exist for this one to exist. I do think that they complement each other.
But you know what was crazy? So remember I was telling you that I went with family and I wasn't sure if some of them who like, this is normally not the movies that they would see.
Mhm.
I wasn't sure if they would enjoy it. This was their first Avatar movie, Jonathan.
Oh my.
They didn't see the first, they didn't see the second, but I'm like, I'm going to be very curious. You have no context here. So what is this going to be like for you? They were still completely like enthralled by the whole thing. I think that's the power of this guy, man, and his team. Like they know how to entertain. One other thing I wanted to mention. So we talked about Jack Champion and how they had to film his stuff earlier because they wanted to lock in for his age. When you were mentioning Edie Falco, I had forgotten that she was in this movie. The cast of this, not just this film, but this franchise. So we know the main ones, Zoe Saldana, Sam Worthington, Sigourney Weaver, Stephen Lang. But then even more, you have Kate Winslet, Cliff Curtis, CCH Pounder, Giovanni Ribisi. The cast is what really makes this such a magical movie and experience. They bring out so much in this movie.
I agree. And it's weird because this movie, I think, made me a fan of Sam Worthington. And I felt like when he got the role in the first one in 2009, I was in high school and I was just like, I am annoyed that I keep seeing this guy. Like at that point, he was in Terminator, Clash of the Titans, I think, or was coming out soon, and something else maybe.
There was Wrath of the Titans, probably along with that too.
Second one, I was like, okay, it's fine. This one, I was like, okay, I feel like he knows this character so well now.
Yeah.
I really am invested in not only his character, but his performance is pretty great. Like, I feel like no one else at this point can play that role. And he should wear that like a badge of honor. And it's also really interesting that actor, Sam Worthington, I was looking at what he's been in, and he hasn't been in much in between these Avatar movies. And at the same time, if I was in his shoes, I would do the exact same thing. If I was guaranteed to be an Avatar for the rest of my life, why be in anything else?
He has been in like some things, but they've been like smaller movies that I think were able to shoot faster. Like he had been in this movie Relay, it was okay. So I'm glad that he's still like Zoe Saldana, like that they still get to have other experience too. But I totally get it. Yeah, if you're locked into the franchise of your lifetime, that's amazing. I'm just glad, as you're saying, that like he has gotten better as it's continued. He's gotten better. By the way, I want to come back to Sigourney Weaver is fun in anything she's in. And I am amazed and impressed, as you said with Stephen Lang, like how this is a guy who's 70, or in his 70s. I think Weaver's maybe around that age as well. But she's playing a teenager, something like that, I think, and does it in such an amazing way with that performance, with the motion capture and everything.
Yeah, I'm really glad that she's in this one and she was in the last one because I haven't seen the first one in so long, but I remember enjoying her character in the first one, and I totally forget that she's a human in the first one. Spoiler alert, it is at the very end.
Yeah.
But is she playing, correct me if I'm wrong, Rob, is she playing her own daughter in this movie? Did I understand this lore correct? Okay.
Yeah.
So she's playing her own daughter.
It's like,
yeah.
it's like a
It's a hybrid, right?
Exactly. Like there's a lot of things with this movie I still don't fully understand, but that makes in some movies that would be an annoying factor. But actually for me, that's, I want to go back and rewatch that. Maybe I missed something. I actually want to know like how this works. So I'm actually like, after we're talking right now, curious to see the first one again, because the first one really sets all of this up. And I think I just, for whatever reason, was in 2009 when this came out, very dismissive of the whole thing. And I don't know why. So I want to like definitely watch it again.
Me too. I was very dismissive of the first one when it came out. Didn't really think anything about it when it first came out. To be honest, I actually really disliked it. But I've been watching the Avatar 1 teaser trailer like repeatedly. I saw it on G4, that channel. It was a video game channel.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you should watch the trailer again because it sells it pretty well, but it feels very different than this one, obviously, because it's the first movie. But the tone and everything in that first trailer almost sell it like it's like a video game about dinosaurs. That's how it feels. It feels very different than what we're getting now, but in the same way we are getting a video game movie with dinosaurs.
Jonathan, for you and the listener, for you as well. So talking about the first teaser trailer, I'm actually going to refer to another podcast. There's a podcast called The Town with Matthew Bellany, and it's another film-related podcast. He has a two-parter. Like there's 2 episodes where it splits up an interview with James Cameron as he's promoting Fire and Ash that's about to come out. And he talks about being nervous, not even just for the release of the first movie, but the release of the first teaser. And like, I think you would find that really interesting. It was fascinating. And of course, I would say anytime you listen and hear James Cameron, of all people, sounding nervous, that's something. I don't know, because I feel like that's a guy that doesn't rattle easily.
At least on camera.
Good point. Fair point.
I'll definitely give that a listen. And I'll even plug another podcast that I don't know if it exists anymore, but you can find the archive of it on at least Apple Podcasts. It's called Blockbuster, 2 different words. And the episodes play out like they're audio plays. And they do them about different directors. So there's one 5-episode audio play of James Cameron, and they have different actors playing James Cameron throughout, literally from when he's a child all the way up until maybe Avatar 1. And they have actors playing Arnold Schwarzenegger, and it goes through his whole career with a narrator talking about his life. And it's so well done. They do George Lucas as well. If you want to know about any of these filmmakers, listen to that because it's really enjoyable. I listen to that on long drives, and it's really entertaining.
So after reviewing all of this, there's a couple scores that I feel like we need to dole out. So now we have the 3 Avatar movies. Where would you rank them?
3 is the best for me. The second one would be the first one, and then my least favorite one is the second one.
And in my case, it's just kind of like a reverse stepladder. 3, 2, 1 is for me. So we have our rank order. Now, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being highest for your rewatchability score. This is not the rating of the movie overall, but just how likely you are to rewatch this movie if it came on, or just on Hulu. Yeah.
So 10 being like I would for sure.
Absolutely. You're like, oh, this is on. I'm definitely watching, even if it's just like 5 minutes because I only have 5 minutes. But
yeah, I would say this is probably a 10 if I have 5 minutes
10.
and it's on TV. It's definitely a movie that I can enjoy on so many levels. It's a movie that you can almost just put music on and turn the audio off if you wanted to.
Yeah, no, at least a 9 for me. This movie is very high up there for me for an entertainment factor and for those visual effects. I find it interesting that you say if you could turn the sound off, and I guess that would be my only gripe with this franchise. I miss the James Cameron days of really intense action music, and this has some of that in like the war scenes at the end, like the third act stuff, but I miss more of that, like from Terminator 2, True Lies. I know this is a totally different beast. Cameron's embracing the spiritual side, and I guess I just have to respect that's what he wants for this movie. But the where I'm at conflict with it is when the action comes around, it is so good, the action, that I'm like, I just wish there was slightly more intense music.
And looking back, I'm sure you and I both, we have on our playlists on our phone soundtracks that we love.
Oh yeah.
Never put anything from Avatar in there. I'll even go back. I'll bring up that first teaser trailer. The reason why I like that first teaser trailer is because of the song that they use, that they never use again. It's a song I think they probably just bought for the teaser trailer. But listen to that. It's a cool, intense song that they put on in the trailer. Yes, I do think that is the low point of these movies is the score because I can't even remember a lot of the score for any of them.
I know that I think it actually was the case for the second one too. So the original composer was James Horner, but he died in a plane crash. So like he scored the first one. I think he had finished this. I don't know if he finished the score for the second one. I think he did. And then Simon Frangen, I think, is the guy who took over as composer for the third one for sure. I don't know if he was the main one for the second one as well.
He was, yes, he was.
Yeah, and it's actually interesting that Horner also was supposed to compose The Magnificent Seven, the remake that had Denzel Washington, Chris Pratt, and Ethan Hawke. But again, because he died, Frangen took over that as well.
James Horner, he of course he's done like incredible movies, but one soundtrack that I go back consistently of his is Children of Men. If you've listened to that,
Oh, yeah, such a amazing movie.
That's one of my favorite movies of all time.
But now let's get to the overall rating and ranking of this movie. And I want you to think of it, like for both of us to think of it in the context of 2025, like just remembering all the movies you saw from that year.
I'm going to say that this was one of my favorite movie-going experiences, but it was not my favorite film.
Okay.
Do you feel the same? And I'm curious to know what your movie was, your favorite movie.
It was definitely one of my more enjoyable movie theater experiences. Definitely. I feel like Cameron's very consistent on that. But for favorite movies, it was not. And for last year in particular, that changed for me several times. I was very surprised in 2025. At the beginning of the year, I already had very quickly a favorite movie, and that was Companion. I'm like, oh my God, this is such an amazing movie. And I thought, okay, I don't know if anything's going to, even though it's only January, that was when it came out, I'm like, I don't know if anything else is going to be able to knock it off. So that movie comes out. Then let's fast forward to August, Jonathan, and I'm like, okay, I know Zach Kreger has his Weapons movie coming out.
Yeah.
Horror has been a genre that I'm finding more and more inventive and very impressed with. But then finally, I saw One Battle After Another. I did not think I was going to like this movie, Jonathan. I'm not always a big fan of Paul Thomas Anderson, but then I saw Avatar after that, and I'm happy that I could still enjoy it. Avatar is so much fun. It reminds you to like just go on a ride with movies sometimes. You know what I mean? What was your number rating for the movie out of 10?
Oh, I'd give this, I would say an 8. Yeah.
I'm going to go 9. Like those other ones that I mentioned, like I would say are there or a little bit above that. Companion, because it was so unique, would be above a 9. Weapons is 9.5. And One Battle After Another is as close to a 10 that I can get for last year. Yeah, One Battle After Another is one that I'm pretty damn obsessed with.
I've only seen it once. I enjoyed it. It wasn't my favorite Paul Thomas Anderson movie. I haven't seen all of his movies. I did like Licorice Pizza more. I know it's very different. I would say my favorite films of last year were Weapons. I loved Weapons. I think that's a 10 out of 10 for me. I really like Sinners a lot. That was great. I loved 28 Years Later, Part 1, if that's what you call it.
See Bone Temple.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, so 28 Years Later, I enjoyed it, but I was amazed that Nia DaCosta outdid Danny Boyle.
I like the Bone Temple more than 28 Years Later. I do think that this one makes 28 Years Later even better. And then I'll throw in my last movie that really stood out to me, and this is my favorite movie of the year. And I saw an advanced screening of it, and people that hear this, you're probably going to say, what the hell is that? Or if you watch the trailer, you're going to say, Jonathan, come on. This is my groundbreaking movie, and I'm very biased. And that is Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie.
I know why you're saying that. Matt Johnson. I know. Okay, so listener, I know my friend here, and we've talked about BlackBerry before, and that was the previous episode, actually, of this podcast. I just covered that as a recommendation, and I was talking about it with my father and with his girlfriend, Kathy, and we had very spirited, differentiated opinions on this. He's an amazing filmmaker, in my view. By the way, if I or anyone tell you, like, we're going to call you crazy or whatever, tell us to go pound sand. Like, this is about what connects with you the most. You know what I mean? So,
absolutely. I highly recommend anybody going to see that. And I'm going to listen to that last episode of you talking about BlackBerry. I didn't realize that was the last one.
It's a time travel movie, right? The Nirvana.
Yeah, it's a time travel movie about two guys just trying to play a show at the Rivoli, which is like a bar downtown in Canada. And it's based off of a show, Nirvana the band, the show, which has been going on since 2009. It was a web series, then it was a show on Vice, and now it's a movie. So there's a ton of content of that, of Nirvana the band, the show. And this is their first movie. And yeah, they time travel back to 2008. And that's all I'll say. They're trying to perform their band down the street and they time travel by accident. And it's hilarious. I highly recommend checking it out. I think it comes out next week, to be honest. Wide release.
For home video?
No, you can go see it at select cities in movie theater.
That's right. You were saying you saw an early screening of it.
Yeah, and Matt Johnson was there. It was awesome.
Oh, dude, that's awesome. That's so cool.
I saw Blackberry here in San Francisco, and Matt Johnson was there. He presented the movie.
Nice. Whatever people feel about Blackberry, and you'll hear in that previous episode, like there were some gripes I had, but it is amazing what was pulled off for the budget that they had. So that's magic. And I tell you what, tying it back to Avatar, I think James Cameron would appreciate that too, because we forget that Terminator, the very first one, they pulled that off in a very indie way. So, Jonathan, man, I have so much fun doing these episodes with you, man. And I think, would you agree that like we both want viewers to see Fire and Ash, go to the theater, if you can see it, whether it's in a IMAX or in Dolby Cinema because of the sound, and then those theaters are also really awesome. And then, look, it'll be on Hulu eventually, but don't wait for that. You know what? You're going to break my heart, I think Jonathan's heart, and Mr. Cameron's heart too, although he's crying his way to the bank, so I don't think he's really caring. But
if you like the first two, go see it. If you have no interest at all in this and you're like, I don't think I'm going to like it, I don't think this is for me, probably not. Trust your instinct. But if you are into the first two, even just a little bit, this is the best one there is. And if you can, go see it in an IMAX at a Dolby theater as well. Before it leaves theaters, go just see it at any theater too. Even if it doesn't have that.
The other thing too, just off of that, if it's not your cup of tea and you really don't want to do it, don't do it. Don't make yourself uncomfortable. If there's a part of you though that thinks, I'm curious, maybe I'll like it, I would say in that case, then go for it. Give it a shot. And I wouldn't recommend this way, but I saw evidence that it worked. Even if you haven't seen the first two and you want to just dive in on the third, sure, but I think you'll get even a richer experience if you do watch the other two first. But I'm confident any way you approach it, you're going to enjoy this movie for sure.
And Sarab, always a good time coming on here, dude. It's always very fun hearing your thoughts. You have a very good way of describing movies financially, the budget-wise, story-wise. It's always a good time coming here, man. So thank you for having me.
I appreciate, man, your enthusiasm and the fact that we get to do these and that you make the time for it. It's absolutely a pleasure on my end too. Listener, Avatar Fire and Ash is playing in theaters now. Check it out. Let us know what you think. And as always, thank you for listening.